Hello, and welcome to the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. I'm your host, Karen Yankovich, and I want to talk about something that is really interesting to me, and that is that powerful women don't use LinkedIn the ways most experts tell you to. They're not louder, they're not sending out a million messages, they're not everywhere, and they're definitely not defending or explaining themselves. So we're going to do 3 quick shifts in 3 minutes, and then we're going to dive deep into each one. Shift number 1, powerful women edit more than they add. They don't explain their resume. They don't justify their opinions. They don't apologize for clarity. Shift number 2, powerful women speak in patterns, not posts. This is huge for LinkedIn authority, right? Authority doesn't come from one viral post and then a different one and a different one and a different one. It comes from being recognizable over time, the same messages and the same authority, right? This is like leadership without a checklist. This is how you start to show up and be known for what you want to be known for, right? Shift number 3, they let other people catch up. So many women kind of rush to be understood, right? But restraint, staying back, saying something and then waiting for people to catch up with that, that's what signals leadership. Not quickly jumping in and defending your point, right? Silence can actually build trust because you're saying, here's what I think, zip, right? So let's talk a little bit about what this looks like on LinkedIn, because I want your LinkedIn expertise to shine, right? The beautiful thing, one of my favorite things about LinkedIn, and I have a lot of favorite things on LinkedIn, but one of my favorite things on LinkedIn is how we don't have to post every day, right? Powerful women post less, but with more signal. So what do I mean by signal? Are you getting, I don't care what the numbers are, but is somebody, you can see from your stats, this person connected with you from your post today, right? That's a signal. Those are the things we want to be paying attention to. So if you're watching this on video, sorry guys, I have a piece of hair on my head here. Powerful women are posting less, but they're looking for those signals, not numbers. They're not looking for how many people are liking a post. They're looking for how many people connected with me from this post, how many people booked a call with me from this post, right? That's what we're looking at, those signals, not those numbers, that vanity numbers, right? Their profiles, you want to have a profile that feels calm, but has your success feeling inevitable as opposed to desperate. Right? They comment and they're commenting, but they're not commenting great post. They're certainly not joining these LinkedIn tribes where you all comment on each other's stuff, because that's just nonsense. I don't want to comment on your stuff if I don't have a point of view, right? But if you belong to these pods, you have to comment, right? So I don't want you to comment on everything. I want you to comment on things that you have a point of view on selectively, but do it as often as you can, because it is important that you show up in conversations on LinkedIn, right? And they're not chasing approval, right? They're not chasing approval. These are the power moves. These power moves are so much more important than how many people liked your post or exactly what you're posting, right? This is what I want for you. And these are the kinds of things that we practice inside the Visibility Salon, not louder strategies, but stronger positioning. Okay. I'm going to share more about that. So let's dive in. Okay. I want to dive into what changes when you stop explaining yourself. And I know you know what I mean when I say that. I find myself doing that way too often still, right? This isn't something that just disappears. It's something that we have to pay attention to. It's something that we have to focus on. And as we move through our power era, I want there to be more wealthy women in the world. I think women's voices are being squashed and we need to get them out there, right? And as we move through that, we don't want to be explaining ourselves. We want to be taking a stance and letting that stance speak for itself and then moving on, right? Even if it means you're understood briefly or misunderstood briefly, it's okay. It's okay, because they'll come around. Leaders don't explain, right? So if it means that you have to be misunderstood for a second until people catch on to where you're going with this, that's leadership. That's leadership, right? So And LinkedIn rewards that steadiness. The more LinkedIn can see what it is that you shine in, what the topics are that you're an expert in, the more it can send people to your profile, the more it works. I don't love talking about the algorithm because, the minute I do, it changes. But what has been consistent over the years with LinkedIn's algorithm is that if you're talking about a bunch of different things, you're confusing not just the people that are following you, but LinkedIn. right? The more consistent you can be, the more you stop explaining and you just show up for your position and, and stand for that. Not only you're telling your followers who you are, but you're telling LinkedIn that, and LinkedIn then can help. And listen, my goal is for this all to be magnetic for you, right? This is how we create that magnet in your marketing, because now it's all starting to come together. Power is not announced, it's inferred. So how are you doing that? Are you doing that, right? If you're explaining yourself, you're diluting your power. Let people infer what your power is. I want to go deeper now into the 3 shifts, right? Powerful women edit more than they add. This is something that I had to learn, right? I mean, I have a lot of words in my life. I have a lot of words in my head. And I've learned this. I remember when we first started our She's Linked Up program, we had, it was a very high ticket program, and we had mindset coach in there. We had a PR coach in there. We had a copy coach in there. We had somebody that was doing accountability calls with them. I was in there, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, they're getting all this value. And then people were saying to me, I had a call the other day with that girl. What was her name? Like, they didn't even know who these people were. I was giving them too much and I was confusing them. Okay. So, and it was costing me a fortune, which means the price point on the program was higher, right? So when I started to edit that's when this program had more and more power. That's when my business started to create more and more power around me and around our messaging. And that's when our students started to see more successes. Okay. Because we were just trying to do too much and say too much. Editing is one of your most powerful tricks. Okay, ladies, it's one of the most powerful tricks. And again, we're not explaining, we're not justifying, we're not apologizing. We are just stripping out what's unimportant and just sticking with the important content that we want to put out there, the important messages that we want to put out there. Shift number 2, speaking in patterns, not posts. Listen, there's a lot of places that I post a lot, right? I want to get more eyes on this podcast. We want to bring more people into our products and services and our programs. LinkedIn is not the place for that, right? Like, I do that on our Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, join us at linkedinforwomencommunity.com. So there's a lot of content that goes out there. There's a lot of content that goes on Instagram. There's a lot of content that goes out on Threads, right? If you're not following me in those places, please do, because I love having conversations there as well. There's a different energy in all those different places. And that's where we put out a lot of content. But on LinkedIn, it's about the pattern, not the number of posts. Okay. You want to have consistent posting, 2-3 a week, maybe. But you want the messaging to be consistent. Even if you do multiple things, like many of us are multi-passionate, right? See where's the thread that ties those things together. And again, remember that you're showcasing you, not necessarily just your business. So what's the thread that positions you as the authority across those things that you're multi-passionate with? Okay, this is what we're talking about. If you want to be known as a thought leader, and I know that's a buzzword, but the reality is it's the word we can use, right? It's the word that explains what I'm talking about here. If you want to be known for something, if you want your voice heard around a topic, there needs to be so much clarity around that. And people need to see the same kinds of conversations coming from you. You can shift it, right? But the same kinds of conversations over and over. Shift number 3. And this is my favorite one. They let other people catch up. I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm not only am I from New Jersey, I'm Italian. I have a lot of words in this head. My hands go, my mouth goes, right? I literally record this podcast sometimes with I don't have it now, or I would show you a metronome that I have, that when those old fashioned metronomes, I have a digital one on my iPad to keep me from talking 100 miles an hour, right? Which I know still happens sometimes. It's who I am. However, the last thing I want is to confuse people. I don't want to over-explain myself. I don't need to rush to be understood, right? The more I pause and the more I let you catch up to what I'm saying, the more you're going to connect with it, right? The more you're going to connect with it. And it's that silence that builds that trust. And these are things that could be a little counterintuitive to you. But some of them are certainly counterintuitive to me. but it's important and it's powerful. And think of the people that you think of the women you think are powerful women. Okay. And think about how often they speak, what they speak about, right? Think about that. They're not out there yakking all damn day long, right? What they say, when they talk, we listen. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for you. Okay. So listen, I'm here for you for whatever. I want you to show up. I want your voice to be heard. Okay. I want your voice to be heard. And that's how these are ways that we do that. These tips that we just talked about here are ways that your voice can be heard and you can infer more power on LinkedIn. And again, it's about the energy behind what you're doing, less about the more things on your to-do list. There's going to be less things on your to-do list, right? This is why I want you to have this show in your ear, binge it as you're walking, right? Because these are the kinds of things you can hear me say once, but you have to practice this, right? You have to practice this. This is something that has to be practiced, not just something that is a to-do, right? So you have to practice this. So listen to this episode over and over. We've got a couple more episodes coming on these topics. Honestly, I'd love for you to check out the Visibility Salon. If you go to KarenYankovich.com/free trial, you get a free week with us. Depending on when you join, you've got all kinds of good things going on every week. So that you'll get to hang out with us that whole week. Get all the training, like all of our trainings in the Visibility Salon, which is so fun. And they're just the most unbelievably amazing women I have ever met. I get to hang out with in this Visibility Salon. And I'd love you to be there too. So check it out at KarenYankovich.com/free trial. And I will see you back here again next week for another episode of the Good Girls Get Rich podcast.